There's a moment that comes for everyone, a moment when the veil drops, when the comfortable lies you've been telling yourself, the ones about tomorrow, about your potential, about how much time you have left, suddenly evaporate like morning fog under a merciless sun. Marcus Aurelius knew this moment intimately. Here was a man who could have lived in pure luxury, drowning in wine and pleasure, surrounded by yes-men telling him he was a god. Instead, he chose to sit with death every single morning. Not morbidly, not with despair, but with clarity. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. Think about that for a moment. Really let it sink in. You could leave life right now. Not eventually, not someday, right now. This breath you're taking, it's not guaranteed. The next one isn't either. Every single thing you're worried about, every grudge you're holding, every dream you're postponing, all of it could become irrelevant in an instant. But here's what's fascinating. Marcus wasn't trying to depress you. He was trying to wake you up. Because once you truly accept this, once you let the reality of your mortality sink into your bones, everything changes. Suddenly, that argument with your partner seems trivial. That fear of embarrassment seems absurd. That dream you've been putting off becomes urgent. There's a story about Alexander the Great that illustrates this perfectly. When he was conquering Persia, he encountered a group of philosophers known as the Gymnosophists, naked wise men who owned nothing and feared nothing. Alexander, this young conqueror who had everything, approached them with his army. And do you know what they did? They laughed at him. One of them, an old sage named Dandamis, told Alexander something profound. You're traveling thousands of miles from your home, causing suffering to yourself and others. But you will die and possess only as much earth as will bury you. Alexander got angry. Of course he did. Nobody likes hearing the truth. But later they say he couldn't stop thinking about it, because Dandamis was right. For all his conquests, all his glory, Alexander would end up in the same place as everyone else, dead and forgotten by most. Everything is banal in experience, fleeting in duration, sordid in content. Marcus Aurelius. Harsh? Absolutely. True? Without question. Marcus looked at all of human achievement, the wars, the monuments, the desperate scrambling for recognition, and saw it for what it was, fleeting. The greatest empire ever built, ruled by a man who could have anything he wanted, and he still recognized that it was all temporary. All of it. But there's something even more brutal coming. Nietzsche, a philosopher who spent his life staring into the void, understood something that most people refuse to accept. Hope, in reality, is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man. Friedrich Nietzsche. Read that again. Hope, the thing we're always told to cling to, is the worst evil. Why? Because hope keeps you paralyzed. Hope lets you believe that things will magically get better without you changing. Hope is the drug that allows you to stay comfortable in your misery. Maybe next year. Maybe when I have more money. Maybe when the timing is right. Meanwhile, life is happening, right now, and you're waiting for hope to deliver you to some fantasy future that never comes. The ancient Greeks understood this through the myth of Prometheus. Zeus punished Prometheus for giving fire to humanity by chaining him to a rock where an eagle would eat his liver every day, and every night it would grow back. Eternal suffering. But here's what most people miss. Along with fire, Prometheus also gave humanity blind hope. Blind hope that kept people from seeing their fate clearly, that kept them docile and distracted. Hope isn't noble. Hope is often just fear in disguise. Fear of taking action. fear of failing, fear of discovering that maybe you're not as special as you thought. And speaking of what you thought about yourself, let's talk about your legacy, the thing you think you're building, the impact you think you'll leave behind. People who are excited by posthumous fame forget that people who remember them will soon die too. Marcus Aurelius. Think about your great-great-grandfather. Quick, what was his name? What did he do? What were his dreams, his fears, his greatest achievements? Most people can't answer these questions, and that's only 4 generations back. In the grand scheme of history, that's nothing. A blink. Every emperor, every conqueror, every person who ever lived thinking they'd be remembered forever, most of them are completely forgotten. Their names are dust. Their monuments crumbled. Their legacy, gone. Soon you will have forgotten all things. Soon all things will have forgotten you. Marcus Aurelius. This is it. This is the ultimate truth that strips away everything else. You will forget, and you will be forgotten. The universe will continue without you, completely indifferent to whether you ever existed. So what now? Does this mean nothing matters? Does this mean you should give up? No. Exactly the opposite. This is the awakening. This is the moment where you realize that because everything is temporary, because you have limited time, because nobody's watching and nobody will remember, you're finally free. Free to stop performing. Free to stop seeking approval. Free to actually live instead of just existing. The emperor had everything and recognized he had nothing. What's your excuse? The illusions are gone. The comfortable lies have burned away. Now the real work begins. You've been running. Don't pretend you haven't. You've been running from yourself for so long that you've forgotten what you're even running from. Carl Jung spent decades studying the human psyche, diving into the deepest, darkest corners of consciousness. And what he discovered terrified most people. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Carl Jung. Why is that terrifying? Because complete self-acceptance means looking at everything, not just your highlight reel, not just the parts of yourself you show on social media or bring to job interviews. Everything. The jealousy you feel toward your friend's success, the petty revenge fantasies you have about people who wronged you, the dark thoughts that flash through your mind when you're alone. To accept yourself completely is to look at all of that, all of it, and say, this is me, not who I wish I was, not who I pretend to be, but who I actually am. Most people can't do it. They can't handle the weight of their own truth. So they stay in denial, crafting elaborate stories about who they are, maintaining the fiction, keeping the mask firmly in place. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Carl Jung. Pain, not discomfort, not mild unpleasantness. Pain. The kind of pain that makes you want to close your eyes and go back to sleep. The kind of pain that makes unconsciousness look appealing by comparison. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. These aren't random occurrences. They're patterns, programs running in the background of your mind. And until you drag them into the light, until you make the unconscious conscious, they will continue to control you. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Carl Jung. This is the confrontation with self. The question is, will you look now on your own terms? Or will you wait until life forces you to? Let's talk about the part of you that you pretend doesn't exist. Carl Jung called it the shadow. And understanding it might be the most important thing you ever do. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Carl Jung. Everyone. Not just bad people. Not just criminals or tyrants. Everyone. You have a shadow. The more you ignore it, the blacker and denser it becomes. The shadow is a living part of the personality, and therefore wants to live with it in some form. Carl Jung. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Carl Jung. You want to be good, noble, enlightened? Then you need to go down into your darkness first. You can't just reach for the light while ignoring the dark. Man is the cruelest animal. Friedrich Nietzsche. Convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies. Friedrich Nietzsche. Name the darkness. Look at it. Own it. That's where real strength comes from. Not from pretending you're made of light, but from integrating your darkness so completely that it can no longer control you. You've seen your shadow. Now comes the discipline to master yourself. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, understood something. True power isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius. Simple, brutally simple, but not easy, because every day you're tempted to do what's convenient instead of what's right. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Marcus Aurelius. External things are not the problem. It's your judgment of them. Marcus Aurelius. The thing that happened to you, whatever it was, is not the problem. Your judgment of it is the problem. Your story about it is the problem. If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. Marcus Aurelius. Confine yourself to the present. Marcus Aurelius. Most of your suffering isn't about what's happening now. It's about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. Confine yourself to the present. That's where your power lives. This is Stoic control. Not suppressing emotions, not denying your shadow, but directing your focus, choosing your judgments, maintaining your discipline in chaos. Let's talk about what you're not supposed to say out loud. Let's talk about power. The will to power is in you. It's in everyone. The question isn't whether to pursue power. You already are. The question is, will you pursue it consciously or unconsciously? Wherever I found the living, there I found the will to power. Friedrich Nietzsche. What is good? Everything that enhances people's feeling of power. Friedrich Nietzsche. An emotional response to a situation is the single greatest barrier to power. Robert Greene. Your emotional reactions, your anger, your fear, your need to be right, these are what make you weak, not external circumstances, your inability to control your emotional responses. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Robert Greene. People never do anything without a reason, however noble it sounds. Robert Greene. Understanding power dynamics isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about seeing clearly. Stop pretending you're above the game. You're in it whether you like it or not. You talk too much. Everyone does. We fill silence with noise because silence makes us uncomfortable. But powerful people impress by saying less. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. Robert Greene. The more you say, the more common you appear. Robert Greene. The ability to detach emotionally is one of the greatest advantages you can possess. Robert Greene. Emotional detachment. Not the same as not caring, but the ability to step back, to observe without being pulled into chaos, to maintain your center while everything spins around you. Those who rush to action reveal their lack of control. Robert Greene. What you reveal emotionally is often used against you. Robert Greene. This is what mastery looks like. Not loud, not flashy, but calm, centered, strategic, saying less, doing less. But what you say and do, precise, effective, undeniable. Everything you've learned has been leading to this moment, transformation. But transformation isn't gradual improvement. Real transformation is violent. It requires destruction. The snake, which cannot cast its skin, has to die. Friedrich Nietzsche. You have to shed your old self. Not preserve it. Shed it completely. And if you can't, if you cling to who you used to be, then you die, the death of potential. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. Friedrich Nietzsche. What does not kill me makes me stronger. Friedrich Nietzsche. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. Carl Jung. You have to go through the inferno. Not around it, through it. Let it burn away everything that isn't essential, everything that's pretense, everything that's weak. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. The old you has to die, not metaphorically, actually die. Every pattern, every belief, every identity, let it all burn. Only then can you become who you truly are. You've been through the fire now. You've seen your shadow. You've confronted yourself. You've understood power. You've learned restraint. You've burned away what was false. Now comes the resolution. Become who you are. Friedrich Nietzsche. Not who others want you to be. Who you are, right now, beneath all the pretense. Once you become who you truly are, you become unstoppable. Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good. Marcus Aurelius. Power is not revealed by striking hard or often, but by striking true. Robert Greene. Real power is about conservation and concentration. You don't waste energy on what doesn't matter. You wait, you observe. Then when the moment is right, you strike. And when you do, it's devastating. Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health. Carl Jung. Your difficulties aren't obstacles. They're the resistance that builds strength, the friction that creates heat, the pressure that creates diamonds. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. So here you are, at the end of this journey and the beginning of the next. You've awakened to reality. You've confronted your shadow. You've understood power. You've learned discipline. You've burned away what was false. You've emerged transformed. What now? Now you dig within. Now you strike true. Now you embrace necessary difficulties. Now you refuse to become like your enemies. Now you become who you truly are. Nobody can do this for you. These things can only be earned through brutal honesty, continuous effort, and unwavering commitment to your own evolution. The path is clear. The truth has been spoken. The fire is lit. Will you step into it? Will you become who you are?